Hello guys, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good day. So I wish you all in a good condition. So in this video, welcome back to Hafiz channel first, and in this video, I would like to teach you how to plot stability tests for supercapacitor application. You also can plot for electrochromic supercapacitor application or even lithium ion battery. So depend on your application, you can plot the stability test. Okay, so first step first, how to plot a stability test in supercapacitor. So why actually I make this video? So I make this video because we have a lot of comment in the previous video how to plot stability tests. So one of the comment that I received early this morning about kindly tell me how to plot the GCD through origin, how to plot it. Then can you share the formula? It's a bit confusing. Please could you use some reference to plot it? And one of them said that can you plot a graph for us? So a lot of people asking about how to plot. So roughly I will teach you how to plot the stability test. It's not using the what we call that the origin. So of course you can use either Excel or origin, but what is the step how to plot it? So in this video, I divided the procedure into three. First is the methodology. So which technique you're going to use. Then the formula. What is the formula to calculate your stability retention? And then last but not least is the example of plotting graph. Okay, see the first criteria, which is the methodology. You can either use cyclic voltammetry and also GCD. For example, the first graph is about cyclic voltammetry. This is cyclic voltammetry at different scan rates. You can see 1 to 6 scan rate, millivolt per second. However, when you going to run your stability, you don't need to run at multiple or various scan rate. Just choose one scan rate. So I recommend you to run at higher scan rate, because when you run at higher scan rate means that you can preserve your electrolyte from dry out faster. So if you run at a low scan rate, the process will be slow. If you want to run retention for 1,000 cycle, it's okay, but 10,000 or even 5,000 to 10,000 cycle, it will take a longer time. That's why it's not preferable to use 1 millivolt per second. Normally, if you use cyclic voltammetry, that goes for 100 millivolt per second. So the cycle will be very fast. Okay, then if you read a lot of journal, a lot of them, majority of them, didn't use cyclic voltammetry. They use galvanostatic charge discharge as their stability retention analysis. So it's quite the same with CV. The only difference is you pick one of the current density. Again, I recommend choose the highest current density. So the graph will be faster. The cycle charging and discharging will be faster. So for example, in this case, I choose 4 ampere per gram. So I run 4 ampere per gram for 10,000 cycle. So the GCD will repeat for 10,000 cycle, and we want to see how much it can retain compared to the first cycle. So again, the methodology, we have two for supercapacitor. Either you are using cyclic voltammetry or you are using galvanostatic charge discharge. Okay, this is the formula. It's very easy to calculate the stability retention. You have your cycle at what number. For example, I have 10,000 cycle and I want to measure every 1,000 cycle. So cycle number 1,000, the specific capacitance divide by specific capacitance number 1, then time 100. So you can see how much is retained. For example, my cycle at 1,000 cycle, my capacitance is 100. And my first cycle, the capacitance is 200 milliampere, 200, sorry, 200 farad per gram. So at my 1,000 cycle, it already degrades to 100 farad per gram. So I divide 100 divided by 200 times 100%. So my retention at 1,000 cycle is only 50% retention. Okay. So imagine you have a stability you run for 10,000. You want to make point every 1,000. So what you can do is calculate cycle number 1, how much the specific capacitance, then cycle number 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and 10,000 cycle. Then you can get the retention value. So you can see either is slightly increased or gradually decreased. Everything has their explanation. So maybe if at the first cycle it increased, then it's dropped. At the first cycle, maybe because of activation and wetting process, depend on your material. If your sample obtain a normal behavior like slowly degrades, it's quite okay also. It depend on your material and your mechanism what happened. So this is the formula to calculate. So normally I don't suggest you to get every 1,000 cycle. You need to see your cycle. Normally if we have 10,000 cycle, we can go every 500 cycle. So the increment of 500 cycle. If you want to go a little bit lower, also can. 200 cycle also can. Every 200, you get your graph and you measure the capacitance value. Okay, let me show you the last slide, which is the example of the stability test graph. Okay, the left-hand side here is the stability test for my recently published paper on the power sources. You can see, which is nickel cobalt phosphate with vanadium maxine. So as you can see that I measured the performance for 10,000 cycle, and you can see here every, if I'm not mistaken, every 500 cycle I measured the capacitance retention capacitance value. So you can see that here what happened is at the beginning it will slightly decrease and at the end it stabilized. So you can see that your sample is quite good because increasing the cycle is stabilized, and in the end it can retain up to 84%. So it depends on your sample, the value might be different. So this, the right hand side is the stability test for electrochromic, whereby what I do is I measure the surface response in this time is delta T, which is the optical contrast. So if you have different application, you can measure your retention if you know your response. For example, in supercapacitor, your response is specific capacitance. In supercapacitor or battery, your response is specific capacity. In solar cell, your response is efficiency. If you know your response, automatically you can actually measure your stability. I think that's all. Thank you for watching. Thank you for asking question. If you have any question, you can ask and I make another video. Okay, bye. See you again.